Today I'm going to talk about why you need to build a family-like environment to succeed. This is true not just working in the entertainment business, but in all aspects of your life. It should be established on trust and loyalty. I'm going to share with you 2 huge failures that sandbag projects and people's lives in the process, in the hopes of provide you with warning signs to look out for. Also, how religion was used as a form of misdirection. This episode has a lot in it, and all of that and more coming up. My name is Orlando Delbert. Welcome to Hollywood Unapologetic. Today I want to talk about filming essentials. Why to succeed in entertainment, you need to build a family-like environment established on trust and loyalty. When I started a new Hollywood generation, right from the beginning, I believed to succeed in entertainment, you need to build a family-like environment established on trust and loyalty. Whether there are hundreds of artisans or only 2, working together as a team for a common goal builds a bond. But sometimes, someone you've known a long time may not be the person you thought you knew. A friend I've known for a few years called me for help with a project. It was a television show that was still in development, and they were looking for a full animated graphic design package once they were in pre-production. I asked what else they needed and was told the show pretty much needed everything. I pitched the idea to some close friends in production that I have worked with for years. All the key players were award winners in television, music, and film, and in the literary world. Introductions were made and the agreements were drawn upon and signed. The show was in pre-production phase in a short amount of time, with budgets finalized, scripts written, and crews and a soundstage scheduled. Everything was a go. Problems arose on the very first day of production. A slew of avoidable headaches, ranging from booking unneeded additional studio and location time without our knowledge, to blasting press releases and creating public relations items that were not in our budget or timeline and forced us to move our production schedule ahead by several months. This is money misspent with a lower turnout for auditions. There was at least one major problem during production, usually caused by this friend who wore shoes that would echo throughout the soundstage, disrupting production whenever she walked around. The friend would stand behind the director and give directions to the talent while we were rolling, which was not only a breach of set protocol, it stopped production altogether. Arguments on the set began, and from that point on, everything just ran as slow as a crawl. And this was only on day 1. By lunchtime of the 3rd day of shooting, she instigated the dismissal of our makeup person, only to bring in her crew of makeup artists, whom she told she would pay through her. Our makeup person was someone who was well respected in the industry and came into the project as a favor to me. Needless to say, she won't be doing me any more favors. The friend opposed our use of family members within the fashion industry for the free use of clothing not yet released to the public by going down to the fashion district herself and buying gaudy, cheaply made clothing, taking the money from our budget and, unknown to us at that time, keeping the remaining funds for herself. The clothing was so poorly made that it was coming apart while cameras were rolling, and in between takes, more and more safety pins were added to hold everything together. She constantly had people showing up on set looking over everyone's shoulders, taking notes and asking technical questions about her equipment, production costs, techniques, and workflow, only to have them break out their iPhones to capture as much of the shoot as they possibly could before production was disrupted. She even had the audacity to reach out to connections we knew personally and professionally while we were shooting in order to get our family and friends discounts on her side projects. I mean, fucking balls. Misdirections is sometimes used to drive attention away from a problem that an individual has caused, only make it easier to put money directly into his or her own pocket while everyone else is working on damage control. One tactic you might see used is religion. I mean, please don't get me wrong. I will never suggest anything against what one believes. However, it can also be used as a tool for deception to make you lower your guard and be lured into a ruse of misdirection. She spent a lot of time in prayer with the talent and some of the crew, and it wasn't obvious to me at first, but I was beginning to see the duplicity more each day, and some of us caught on, but she dug her hooks in deeply with 2 of the executive producers using this technique. She played on their insecurities, emotionally manipulating them, and caused more problems on the set. There was one day during production when her hair and makeup spent more than 10 hours on only 2 of the talent because they were maneuvered into a brouhaha concerning their appearance. This not only messed with their heads, it eventually stopped production since it was required of the hair department to purchase additional hair extensions and start their work over. This needlessly squandered money by keeping a full production crew standing around, as well as accruing additional overtime costs for the location. Phone calls started to come in to us during this time, unbeknownst to her. We learned through mutual friends that the money she was pocketing from our budget was being used for starting side projects for her own personal gain, involving some of those she had show up on set to take photos and ask questions questions I've mentioned earlier. We even had friends who were paid for their services on these side projects, returning some of the money she siphoned off our production because of how uncool the set of circumstances was. We also learned of the many slanderous attacks she made regarding us in the hopes of redirecting attention away from our unscrupulous and deceitful actions. In the end, we realized that all this was a way of her controlling and embezzling the flow of our money. This is an example of a production that went bad because one person sandbagged it for her own personal gain. Sometimes the best thing to do is nothing. This next story is an example of how things can go when circumstances are manipulated by one person and not in the best interests of those involved. And this is an extreme case of failure. Michael was an idea man. He had an exceptional research skills and had a good understanding of technological trends. His concepts for projects showed a lot of promise, but his lack of business skills hindered his ability to develop these ideas on his own. His pattern was to reach out to people online, building partnerships with people he never met personally. It was suggested he researched the individuals he worked with. He found very little information available regarding these individuals and their credentials, leading me to believe he was working with charlatans. Because he needed help with his concepts, he would give away large shares of each project, which became the foundation for his failure. Conflicts with his partners erupted as the projects gained momentum due to his inability to understand the process and the direction where his new partners wanted to go. This eventually led to the demise of these projects, or his business partners took control of the projects and just pushed them out. When Michael created an investigative reality show built around live paranormal activity, he made early commitments with people he'd never met, as always. He realized he could only take it so far because he needed someone with experience in television production. He was introduced to Don. The plan was to raise money through crowdfunding and to shoot enough content to show networks what the series would be. Even so, problems were already beginning. Michael created deals he felt were in the best interest of the production. Well, they weren't. He was asked not to use the productions company's name for his personal deals, which he continued to do as an unauthorized representative of the company. He refused to listen to anyone, and the project lost momentum, and the money raised was lost. Part of the original plan was to have live events that would extend the brand of the upcoming television show. And as things were grinding to a halt with the reality show, he began working on the live events element of the paranormal show. He was urged not to, but he persisted. He associated himself with two women who were well known in the paranormal community. If no one else knew that he had developed these feelings for one of the women he was working for. And this situation marked the beginning of the end. Both women were involved with projects, saw the live paranormal events in a favorable and beneficial light, while Michael's choice was to move in a darker direction. This caused many difficulties between them in producing the event. There was no conflict of interest since the original concept structured by the two women was different from Michael's plan. The way the projects were structured, in fact, Michael would have been able to proceed with his events and still get a percentage of the revenue from the live events the women wanted to produce. He took their difference of opinion as a personal insult, and although he was told the women could easily be replaced for his project, Michael ranted and cursed them obscenely. This action resulted in restraining orders being filed against him. The damage was done, and neither woman wanted to work with him, but they still wanted to undertake their live events with Don's production company. They liked his ethics and professionalism. Michael was furious and continued to strike out. One of the women began making deals on her own. She committed to Don's production company to a venue, which immediately cost the production company several thousands of dollars out of pocket. What wasn't known at the time was that her motive was for Don's production company to do all the work and take all the financial risk without realizing any financial gain. Michael continued making online connections with other people whose projects had no association with either the live event or the reality show. He also instigated more problems with those people. He threatened them and accused them of ripping off his production, creating more headaches. Threats were even made in Don's name. Phone calls and emails flooded in from these people to Don, who had no idea what was going on, but was called up to calm things down and resolve the situation. Don already had a music project in motion which looked promising, but since everything was slowed down for Michael's projects due to his misgotten actions, he asked if he could invest in Don's projects. Documents were drafted and approved on both sides, and there was a glimmer of light on the horizon, or so it was thought. Michael's role was simple, and all he had to do was sit on his hands and wait for the project to be completed. The money earned could have been used to pay Michael back and also reinvest with new projects. Despite this, he saw this as an opportunity to be part of a big Hollywood production. Michael pressured Don to be involved in a role other than as an investor. He was reluctantly tasked to do some online marketing through social media, but instead he began buying advertising on one of the popular social media sites. He then reached out to online groups as a producer for Don's production company, again building relationships with people and projects that were not in the best interests of what was already in motion. All of this was unknown to anyone other than Michael. His attacks continued on the two women while he began attacking other individuals he made connections with. Out of desperation to get his projects finished, he independently contacted political leaders and property owners in the communities he wanted to orchestrate his live events. Don was called in once again after questions arose about the facts of these projects. Everything then came crashing down. Michael's paranoia in that there was a larger-than-life conspiracy to rip him off pushed him into contacting the parents and some of the children that were involved in Don's music project through social media websites. All of the children were pushed out of the project immediately. With his credibility challenged, the celebrity composer involved also walked away from the project. And it didn't stop there. Michael also attacked another celebrity composer, called his managers and even the owners of the studio where principal photography was shot. This ended the professional relationship between Don's production company, the composer, and the studio. This is still a possibility of a lawsuit against Don based on Michael's tirades. Michael contacted every person he could conjure up to let them know Don was a thief. He flooded Don's voicemail and email with racial slurs and attacks on his children, even made false accusations on consumer rip-off websites. He took control of one of Don's social media pages, using that as a sounding board for his accusations and posting banking information for Don's company. Michael continued in any way he could to wreak havoc on Don and his family, and the assaults didn't stop. Lessons learned here. One person can ruin your reputation and even your ability to earn an honest living. Be rigorous in knowing the kind of the people you surround yourself with. Research possible business associates to determine the character and check the person's history. See what they've done and how they've done it. Cross-reference the details. Look for patterns in past projects that have been completed and for those that were not and the reasons why. Past actions show more about a person's character than words. Look for the warning signs, which may include verbal and/or physical conflicts arising between a potential business associate and their associations in the past. Do research online and speak to people when possible. Also be mindful of someone who is eager to give you money and know their motives. Oftentimes, the true motives are not on the surface. If they are too eager to give you money, ask yourself why. If someone you work with begins reaching out to others and attempting to close unauthorized deals using your company name, that's usually not a good sign. The person in question usually will show signs of ulterior motives at some point. Does the person seem connected? The way someone shakes your hand says a lot. It may not seem like a big deal, but if the person seems disconnected, is unable to have eye contact, or even have a somewhat weak handshake, they're either thinking of something else or their motives aren't entirely honorable. Look into their eyes and engage them. A handshake means a lot and has been a bond between gentlemen for a very long time. If the person you are sealing a deal with can't even shake your hand with something behind it, chances are you may have a problem down the line. Trust and loyalty is what you have to build all your relationships on. Be careful out there. The world is greatly influenced by what is seen on the screen and heard on the radio. Let's be the new Hollywood generation. Let's give the world something that will drive everyone to do something bigger and to make a positive difference in the world. We're all in it together. Each and every one of you is an important part of our future. You're important to the lives of those who surround you. You're important to your communities. You're important to our industry. No matter what, remain optimistic and focused on your goal. Never stop believing in yourself. And always remember, you are the key to your own success. Take a breath, move forward. Together, let's create a revival, the resurgence of Hollywood, and bring back the auteur to cinema. Be an active part of the new Hollywood generation. You are a representative of the new Hollywood generation. And please subscribe to our channel and share. And don't forget to check out our other videos in the series and follow the link below to check out our swag. Thanks. Join Hollywood Unapologetic in our quest to positively empower one another, to empower our industry in the true pursuit of our Hollywood dreams and in life. Hollywood Unapologetic is a continuation of the Pollyanna's Tear-Soaked Battlefields of Hollywood, a survival guide against the cynicism and the hypocritical series of books designed to help you better prepare for success. Together, we are the new Hollywood generation. Welcome to Hollywood Unapologetic.